Godzilla and Kong. New movie coming out with the new empire, which means new toys. And Playmates Toys has got a whole bunch of new ones coming out, which are hitting stores right now. And they were kind enough to send along an assortment for me to look at here on the channel. So that's what we're going to be doing today. An assortment of large-scale monsters like this and some of the smaller, basic figures as well. So join me as we get all Godzilla and Kong up in here. Roar! It was a terrible roar. All right, from the basic assortment, let's just start with good old regular Godzilla here. So this is just the standard Godzilla look. These figures here, just so you guys know, they're at the 6-inch height. Obviously, Godzilla's got a very long tail, so look at that. I mean, it's curled, obviously, but from tip of his nose to the tip of the tail there, look, about 10 inches, a little over 10 inches. So pretty fun figure. Obviously chunky. There's actually a decent weight to the figure here. The blue on his spikes is like an airbrush type thing, so you can see that they aren't fully painted all the way around. It's just kind of like this airbrushing that goes down the back of the figure. Otherwise, he just appears to be molded in this very dark, almost black color plastic, but it's like a dark green, almost black, to represent the way he looks in the modern films. Very bright blue eyes there, but we have an articulated mouth, which is really nice. The arms have the ability just to go up and down. The legs go forwards and backwards, and we have a ball joint on the tail. That's really all we're getting for articulation. So again, very basic figure, definitely meant for like kids to just grapple onto and do some battling. And with that battling comes battle damage. Oh my goodness, yes, battle damage. Maybe I can get it. Holy cow, that battle damage is really stuck on here. Oh, that's because I was peeling in the wrong spot. Hey, there we go, battle damage. Yeah, so look at that. You can just like a hunk of his skin comes off and it reveals the gross red. You can see like his rib cage bones there. Ugh, but I love it. It's fun. Super cool stuff. And that, of course, can just pop right back on as long as you position it the right way. There we go. Boom. But he also comes with a heat ray blast, which is like a translucent blue blast effect. And if we open his mouth, you'll see that there's like a little peg hole at the top of his mouth, which is what this plugs into. Boom, just like that. And now we've got Godzilla with a heat ray blast, which honestly, that looks pretty cool. I like that. So basic figure, but still fun. But then we get Godzilla Evolved. This is his new look for the movie, which we've already seen with trailers and everything, with the big highlight on here being like these neon pink spikes going down his back. Now, I like this to an extent because the ones on his back are like translucent pink and they look so cool. I mean, look at the way those stand out. Those are rad. But you can see on the top of his head and then the tail, they just sort of like did that airbrushing effect again with pink. And it definitely doesn't look as good. Like the colors don't match. I really wish there was a way we could have done the same translucent pink all the way down. I understand the tail is a separate piece and we've got the ball joint in there, but I don't know. I don't like how it just like looks like two different color pinks. Doesn't look quite as good. We got some other embellishments there. You can see the spikes sticking off the back of his elbows, which are just unpainted. We do have a little bit of a paint job on the front there. He's a lighter green this time around than, say, our basic Godzilla. Like if we stand them in here, he's also leaned out. Like, I don't know, he's been working out. He's a little buffer now. He's got a bit of a different look to him there. But he does also come with his own heat ray, which again, there's a little peg that just plugs into the mouth, which does open and close. You just plug it into the hole on the top. I like this one too, because it's got almost like this little splatter type effect on the sides, like blah! No, but you can see the heat blast is much different. It's pointed and everything on this. So it's a very different look for Godzilla. Like if I get them both in here, check those out. Look at these bad boys. Roar! So those are your basic figure Godzillas right there. So here is our basic Kong figure. Obviously he's a little shorter than Godzilla, but not by much. You can see he's actually at like the 5.5-inch scale there. If I bring in Godzilla and stand them side by side, you can see Godzilla is going to be a bit taller than Kong there. But this Kong figure, I love him. He's actually like really chunky. He's got some good weight to him. He's hefty. I think the sculpt is actually a bit better on the Kong than the Godzilla itself if we're comparing the two. This guy's pretty cool. Look at all the hair and everything there. The face is pretty awesome on this guy. This, of course, has his beast glove. It's BEAST glove. Beast glove is the way it is. I don't know what it's an acronym for. Obviously, this comes from the new film. So this is part of the sculpt of the figure there. He's got his sweet power glove to do some battle there. But all in all, this guy's pretty cool. Articulation, he's got the head that goes basically just left and right. Really doesn't move up and down at all. We do have hinge joints at the shoulders, so they can go outwards, forwards, backwards, swivel at the elbow, bend at the elbow. You got swivels at the wrist there. And then the torso doesn't look like it turns. It almost looks like it should because there's a cut there, but it's not moving. But we do have the hinges at the thighs, so legs can go outwards, forwards, backwards, standard bend at the knees, and then nothing at the ankles or anything. But still, that's a bit more articulation than what we get with Godzilla. And like I said, he's just a real chunky 5.5 figure. I like this one. And this is Scar King. I think this is going to be one of our new baddies in the film. He's actually even on the short side as well. In fact, let me just bring Kong back in here. You can see he's shorter than Kong. He's leaner than Kong. I don't think that makes him any less of a baddie, though. But he's a very ugly looking ape-like creature there with the red markings, and he's got this bone whip weapon is what it's called. So you can see he's wearing this like bone thing around his torso. This actually can come off just by unplugging it, and then he holds it in his right hand, and now it's a whip accessory, which is really interesting. I assume that's something we're going to be seeing in the film. His articulation and his torso there, which is something that Kong didn't have, is a bit on the loose side, so you can see it kind of bobbles a little bit there. It especially seems to be doing it when I've got this whip in his hand. But he does pose basically the same as Kong, except he does have longer legs. He's a bit leaner. He's got that added torso joint there. So you're going to get a little bit of extra posing out of him. And then if you're done with this whip, this just plugs right back onto his body there. And it kind of just works as, like, I don't know, cool decoration. Makes him look awesome. So I believe Scar King is only going to be available at Target stores. So if you want this new baddie, you're going to have to check there. All right, so this one is actually really cool. I like New Titans here, and I actually really like the look of this one. Very white, so it's blending in with my background. I apologize for that. This is Shimo, and actually I really like the stark white with the deep purple translucent spikes, and you can see the translucent spikes are on the head and the back. The same thing's done on the tail as with Godzilla, where it's just kind of airbrushed, but the purples do match a little bit better, so it doesn't look quite as bad as it did on the Godzilla, in my opinion, but I love those translucent purple spikes on the back. Very interesting looking character on all fours. So bringing in with, you know, like Godzilla here, bringing in with Kong, you can see what the scale looks like with those figures. So also comes with their own little blast effect. It's a frostbite effect is what it's called. Kind of works just like Godzilla's, where it's got a peg that plugs into the top of the mouth. And now we've got this really cool frost blast effect coming out of the mouth there. Ball joint on the tail. The legs just move forwards and backwards, except the front. Looks like I can go outwards with those. We can swivel at the feet on the front legs only. So limited posing options here. Oh, we can swivel the feet on the back too. Still limited posing. I mean, you're obviously only going to get them to stand one way, but I like the monsters. Obviously, that's what makes these movies fun. So this is a pretty cool toy. I like this one. Okay, this is it. I'm calling it right now. This is the hit of the line, right? This is the one everybody's going to want. This is Suko and Titanus Doug. So Suko is son of Kong, baby Kong here, which is really cool. He's cute. You can see he articulates pretty well. He's actually got swivels at the elbows, elbow joints, wrist swivels, turns at the waist. Legs are articulated just like Kong's. We do have swivels at the feet there. He's a cute little guy. Doug doesn't have a lot going on in the articulation department. It looks like we can just turn his head here. I think the mouth, yeah, the mouth is just sculpted. And then the tail's on a ball joint. We can move the feet forwards and backwards a bit. He feels a little hollow. There's not a whole lot going on with him there, but he's cute. I mean, basically what you're getting here is like a baby Kong and a baby Godzilla, right? Oh, there's a rock. It comes with a rock accessory for Suko, I guess, to play with or bash into foes. But I don't know. Like, I think these are cute. I think everybody's going to be into the idea of like a baby Godzilla and a baby Kong. Like here, if I bring those all in the shot at the same time, you can see what they all look like posed together. These are fun. I definitely think these are going to be one of the highlights of this particular lineup. This one might be the most interesting of the bunch just because of its really unique action features. So this is our Titan Evolved Godzilla figure, and I believe this one is going to be available at... This one is the Titan Evolution Godzilla, which can be found at Target stores. And check this thing out. So it might look kind of rubbery to you, right? Outside of the packaging. And that's because this is like an outer skin, which is made of this very soft, rubbery, pliable plastic. So the figure itself is in that 7-inch scale, though the 7-inch mark is really like the spike on his back there. So he's still really nice and long. Like, it's a big, chunky figure. But yeah, look at this. Like, it's real squishy and soft and wiggly tail. I mean, it's really, really strange feeling. And the whole gimmick here, the reason it's an evolution figure is because this rubbery standard Godzilla looking skin on the outside is just that. It's skin. It's a removable skin. He sheds this skin to turn into Godzilla Evolved. I mean, let me just show you how this works. It's quite the process here. If you look at the stomach, we've got this little flap that kind of opens up, and you can kind of see our action figure underneath that skin. And this right here is where we just kind of start peeling the skin away. So we kind of peel it off of the arms here. That seems to be the easiest place for this to start. Ooh, very stretchy plastic. And then look at this. We'll stretch it over the head. Ooh, look at this. It's revealing our Godzilla figure on the inside. And we can kind of peel this down. Oh, look at that. Coming out of his skin. Good grief, this is funny. Look at him pull the legs out here. It actually works really well. It's pretty easy to get this off. And if you're wondering, it is doable to put it back on too, because I've already done this once. I had to put it back on to shoot this video. It takes a little bit of work to stretch it over. When you get to the tail, one thing that's interesting is you notice that the tail's actually detached. And I think that's just to make it easier to put on the inside. You can see the tail's actually stuck together with like a little rope there. So they can pull the tail out of the skin suit, and then we can detach or attach the tail to the ball joint. And now we've got our pink spike-clad Godzilla Evolved, which is... goodness, so much fun. Look at these like standing next to each other here. Look, I can even stand up the rubbery suit here. It's like this big rubbery suit with the Godzilla. It's so funny. But yeah, now underneath that, you've got like a fully articulated Godzilla, articulated mouth, the arms move. It's actually very similar to like your standard Godzilla figure. Translucent spikes, but only on the back, all painted the rest of the way. I don't know, like this is really fun. Sometimes toys just have to be toys. And that's exactly what this is. I mean, this is like a pretty dang fun gimmick right here. And then we've got our giant figures. These are our 11-inch tall Titans here. But their sizes do vary depending on the figure. Like, for example, like on the basic figure, Scar King seems to be the smaller one. He's at 10 inches tall. But, you know, big giant monsters, this is what you want out of Godzilla toys. At least this is what I always think of, are like the big chunky ones. And I like big monster toys. I think they're a lot of fun. I will say all of them feel extremely lightweight. They are hollow plastic in the middle, so they're very lightweight. And maybe that's by design. Maybe that's specifically so kids can pick them up and bash them. I don't think they feel cheap in the sense that they're going to break or anything. In fact, I do think they're going to be good for bashing around. But I think there's going to be instances of paint wear and stuff like that. As you can see, maybe, if you can even tell, my Scar King's got some paint wear on his face already, and that's just him coming straight out of the box. With those open packages, I think it's very easy to get some paint wear on the facial features, the brow, and everything. With that said, sculpt looks good. Very similar to the basic figure. There's really not a whole lot of difference here. Articulation functions pretty much the same. You can see the arms can go outwards there. He's got like that very crooked stance. I love that. Forwards and backwards. You do have the bends and the swivels at the elbow and the wrists. Torso joint is similar, feels better on this particular figure. He stands well, and just like on the basic figure, he's also got that whip weapon, that bone whip weapon. It's a bit harder to get this one unplugged. Oh, there you go. Did you hear that? Did you hear that pop? But so he can still hold that end on his right hand there. So he's got this whip-like weapon if you want to use it. So again, he's just like an oversized version of the basic figure, which is basically what you're going to see with all three of these. So here's our large-scale Kong. He does come a bit closer to the 11-inch mark. Again, he feels very hollow in the torso when compared to the smaller basic figure, who feels very solid and very chunky. This one doesn't really have that solid feeling to it, but I think that is by design with these. All of the articulation, I will say, is very tight, so it functions really well, and it's just very cool looking. You know, he's mostly just molded in the grayish plastic with some kind of airbrushing for the grays. We've got the scratches on his chest, and again, he's molded with the beast glove over there on the right-hand side. But then we've got Godzilla, the biggest of them all, just as he should be. This one is definitely a bit over 11 inches tall because of his back spikes here. And the translucent pink actually looks really good on this big one because it does go all the way up to the top of his head and even is on the tail a bit more than on the basic figure, though the back half of the tail is still just airbrushed. I don't know why they stopped right here. I really wish they could have found a way to keep that going where just the spikes, like this part of the tail, I don't think is even supposed to be pink. Should just be the spikes, right? So I don't know. That's just me. Maybe that's just a lot of nitpicking. You can see they did paint the spikes pink on the back of the arms on this one. He does have an opening and closing mouth, which is very nice on here. Articulation is pretty much the same on this as the smaller one. It's tight. He's a bit lightweight, but he still feels like a big toy. I mean, you can see him in my hand here. Big old giant toy. But I do want to show you the one thing I don't really like about this one. When you flip him around to his left side, you can see all these exposed screws all the way down. And I understand. This is how we assembled the toy. But man, I don't know. It really takes away from it. It's ugly. You can really see all those spikes. He looks great from the other angles. And that's just one of those things that has always bothered me personally on toys. It doesn't bother everybody. So obviously, going to be totally up to you. Big giant Godzilla toys, big monster toys. I do like big monster toys. It's fun to put these together with other big monster toys. So there you go, my friends. So there you go, my friends, a look at a selection of the new Godzilla and Kong new Empire figures from Playmates Toys. Good assortment of hopefully easier to find Godzilla and Kong figures, considering most of them will be available at all retail, which includes Walmart and Target and Amazon. So hopefully they won't be hard to track down. I assume we'll be getting other Godzilla and Kong figures from some of the higher end companies as well. So if you're a collector who's looking for something a little bit more highly detailed, maybe that's what you're waiting for. But if you just want some good old fashioned toys, or your kids love the Kong Godzilla movies, these are pretty fun. These are great for bashing around. Once again, thanks to Playmates Toys for sending these over so we can look at them here on the channel. And thank you guys for continuing to watch. Until next time, my friends. The video is over.